All right, welcome everybody. We are here for our session 2 of our masterclass series. This is how to stand out and get booked in any market. So, what I'm going to ask you to do is that as you watch this video, to just be present, engage in the chat or in the comments, even if you're watching this on the replay. I will send out the replay. It actually will be in the community. So once you registered, you got a link to join the community. And then if you have any questions as we go along, it's easier if you drop them in the Q&A box so that I can follow that instead of trying to look in chat. So just let me know. But if you forget, that's okay. Drop it in the chat and I'll still answer your questions. So, disclaimer, the results that you're going to see from some of my clients and what I tell you about me are not guaranteed, and they vary based on your individual circumstances, your work ethic, and any other factors, right? And the other thing I want to say to you is I'm a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. So if you hear me say anything that has to do with, legal implications, just know I'm not giving you legal advice. All right, so we're going to be talking about mogul positioning and how you become undeniable. Now, this isn't for those of you who are looking for like tips and tricks. I'm not a tips and tricks kind of gal. I'm not the person who's going to tell you that tomorrow you're going to make $1 million. I hope we all could do that. But what I'm going to give you is proven strategies that you can leverage over and over and over again. And when you do the work, you will get the results. So this is for women experts who are ready to just break the ceiling. Think about whether it's a glass ceiling, concrete, however it is, we need to get through these ceilings. And one of the ways that we have to do it is through these 3 keys that I'm going to share with you today. So what I want you to understand though, is that you don't have to be louder, right? So this is not about you being louder. It's about you becoming unforgettable and in the way that you want to become unforgettable. One of the things about me is that I am not a one size fits all. I do have frameworks, I do have strategies that I teach my clients, but they get to leverage them the way that they want, that makes them feel comfortable and powerful. And so I'm not a person who says you have to be louder. Now, louder is relative, right? So louder could be louder in volume, or louder could just be you need to be showing up more. You need to be more vocal. So you have to decide that, but the whole idea is for you to become unforgettable. Now, what would change? What would change if you became the one that clients want, not the one that they settle for? Oftentimes out here, we have clients who just, whether it's a coaching client or it's a corporate client or it's a conference stage, they end up sometimes just settling because they don't really have anybody to choose from. Well, you want to come out of that bucket of people and be the one that they want, the one that they are searching for, the one that they are clamoring to have in front of their employees, to have on their stages, or the one who's going to help them as their coach to get to their next level. So, wouldn't you love to move from being admired to being in demand? A lot of us out here are, a lot of you are out here doing your thing, and you're amazing and you're wonderful, and people, they click like, they like you and they say, oh, you inspire me. But guess what you haven't done? You haven't activated them. So you are admired by them, but you are not in demand by the people who need your services to move them to their next level. So let's talk about why experts get overlooked. And it isn't your bio. I know we all think that we have to have an amazing bio, and that's great. We should have a bio, but it's not your bio that's causing you to get overlooked. The truth is that expertise, so just having all of the credentials, having all of the things, is not the only thing that's going to guarantee opportunity. So many of us, so many women are out here credentialed, respected, you're proven, right? So the clients who come to me, the women who come to me, y'all have all the degrees. Y'all have all the receipts. You have all the certifications. You have all the experience. You have all the expertise. So, but you're still waiting for the call. Still waiting for that call. Some of you may be getting calls, but those calls come with a zero budget. So you're waiting for the call that comes with dollar signs, a comma and zeros right in front of it. So, why is that happening? Why are you not getting the call even though you have all the receipts? It's because the market rarely rewards safe. Now, I know as women, we've been conditioned to be, safe and quiet and not too loud and all the things. But this market, it rewards those with undeniable magnetic energy. Again, when I say these things to you, I need you to understand that I am not saying that there is one thing that's considered to be undeniable magnetic energy. It has to be the thing for you. Like for me, I am who I am, right? I will, I like to smile, I like to laugh, and I get like really excited on video, right? I love to dance. I like to do all those things. And when people are around me, they know that what they're getting from me is a real thing, right? It's the authentic me. I'm not creating any of this. I'm not putting on a show for anybody. That's my magnetic energy, right? My ability to get people to feel comfortable, to transfer confidence, for people to feel powerful, right? To help people gain clarity. That's my undeniable magnetic energy. You have to think about what is yours, right? But understand that this is what you're looking for as a concept. This is what you're looking for. So, who's done with being the best kept secret? I know a lot of you out here are the best at what you do, and you're better than the people that you see out there getting these contracts and being on stages. The problem is that they figured out their magnetic energy, and people are attracted to that. And meanwhile, you're over here being the best kept secret because you haven't figured out what that is for you. And if you're ready, right, to be the first call. So we went back, like we don't want to be the one that they settle for. We want to be the first call. So if this is what you want, then you got to do what I'm telling you, right? You got to think about what I'm telling you. Now, why should you listen to me? Now, here's the thing. When I decided to become a professional speaker, I didn't set out to be the first called. That's the truth. I did not. When I decided to become a professional speaker, I set out to be a person who could create impact, who could use their voice in a different way. I wanted freedom from the restrictions of being a lawyer. I wanted freedom from being told that no, you can't really say that because that's going to impact our client. And meanwhile, it was something that was near and dear to my heart. But though I didn't set out to be the first call, that's exactly what happened. That's what happened when I transitioned from the full time practice of law to professional speaking because I had done the things that I'm telling you right now and that I'm going to share with you today, the three keys. I had done those things. Again, I didn't do them with the purpose of being the first call, but that's exactly what happened. And that's why I know it works. So, and like I said, because of what I'm going to teach you today, that's exactly what happened. So let me back up for a second so that I can tell you how we got here, because I didn't just jump out into the water. So I mentioned about practicing law. I've been practicing law. This year will be my 30th year that I was sworn into the Florida bar. In 2017, I was working at a law firm. And at that time, they started having me doing some personal injury cases. And I sat at depositions with expert witnesses. And one of the things that we do with expert witnesses is that we would ask them how much money they've made from being an expert witness. And this was to show bias, show that they were a hired gun, right? And I remember sitting in a beautiful office in a high rise in Tampa. And I was taking the deposition of a doctor and I was asking him how much money he had made in the like past 3 to 4 years. And he said he had made about $3 or $4 million. And in that moment, I was like, ma'am, girl, you are in the wrong business. Like, what are you doing? Here it is that this medical doctor was making $3 to $4 million in addition to the money that he was making practicing medicine. But what he had figured out, and what so many experts, and most of them, I will say to you, are white males, right, in the legal industry, what they figured out and what the legal profession has helped them do is to make money off of what they knew, right? And what they know instead of what they do every single day. What do I mean by that? So as a medical doctor, yes, he has his patients, he, does whatever exams he does with them. They may, if it's a surgeon, they would do surgery, all the things, right? That's the actual doing of their profession. But what these experts actually do as an expert is that they just review medical records. They never see the plaintiff. They don't do any type of medical exams, none of that. We send them medical records. They review those medical records and they give an opinion. So they're being paid millions for their opinion. And we know what people say about opinions. But what that triggered for me was, ooh, there's got to be a better way. There has got to be a way for me to figure out how to leverage what I know and make money doing that, as opposed to being billed out at that time at like $165 an hour, right? I was making multiple six figures, but being billed out at $165 an hour. Meanwhile, these experts are out here making millions of dollars. That put me on a path to figure out, okay, how do I do this? What is it that I need to do in order to stop working, hours and hours as a trial lawyer? So if I had trial, I'm talking about 14, 16-hour days for weeks at a time while we, prepare the trial and actually, do the trial and then afterwards. And all of the other work that I had to do as a trial lawyer. So I had to figure out, what does that look like? And I started to think about what I had been doing already. And one of the things I had already been doing was training my clients. I had already been speaking, right? Spoke every day as a lawyer. And so I set my sights on becoming a professional speaker. I also set my sights on positioning myself to be a professional speaker. So it's not just I wanted to be a speaker. I started to think about, what are the things that I need to do? How do I need to start showing up? Who do I need to tell? Who do I need to speak to? What are the things that I need to prepare in order to do that? And so 3 of the things that I decided that I wanted to do is, one, to get my first paid speaking engagement while I was still practicing law. 2 was to write my first book. And 3 was to deliver a TEDx. In the 11 months from February of 2018. So I decided I wanted to do this the end of 2017. Starting January of 2018, I was on a mission. And I'm sharing this with you because I want you to start thinking about, if you're transitioning, what do you need to do? Or if you've already transitioned, have you done some of these things to really set yourself up and set yourself apart? And so I went on the mission to complete all of those things. And by November of 2018, I had gotten my first paid speaking engagement. That happened in October of 2018. I had written my first book. That happened in August of 2018. It was published. And I did deliver my first TEDx, and that happened in November of 2018. Right. And so that TEDx has become an award-winning TEDx. I tell you these things because I want you to start thinking about this in the context of the 3 keys that I'm going to show you, right? I started to show up in the places. I joined an association that had other speakers. I started telling people that this is what I wanted to do. I started being very vocal about what I was doing. And unfortunately, being that vocal ended up having me lose my job in October of 2019. They told me I was going to lose my job by the end of the year. And it was okay though, because for me, I had already been on this journey. We were on the same journey. I was trying to get out and they were trying to get me out. They just happened to do it first. So I want you to know that when you are starting to do these things, when you start to show up as somebody who is unforgettable and somebody who has magnetic energy and somebody who has a vision and knows exactly what they want to do, there are going to be people who do not like it. But you cannot allow them to keep you from getting towards your vision, for your goals. You cannot allow them to stop you. Had I done that, right, when they got upset with me, when they saw what I was doing, then when they decided in October that I would no longer have a job by the end of December, then I would have been in trouble. And so I would not have been able to do the things that I was doing to then become the first called when I decided that the topic I was going to speak on was unconscious bias. And when George Floyd was murdered and companies were like, hey, we need help. I was amongst the first that they were calling, right? I wasn't the person they were settling for, but it's because I had made myself vocal and I had shown up in the magnetic energy of who I am. So, what I realized was that it wasn't what I did for my clients, right? Remember, I talked about the doctors, the value of them, their value in that moment as an expert. It wasn't in what they did for the clients. And this is what you need to understand too, that when you're an expert, it's not the things that you're doing. Like, it's not how you did what you did, right? It is what you know and how you leverage and package that. That's what they're looking for. That's what they need you to be able to bring into their organizations. So stop thinking about the doing and start thinking about the knowing and understanding how to leverage that. So when I really understood that and I started to like hone in on all of that, that is how I have accomplished the things that I've accomplished. Being a keynote speaker, an award-winning TEDx speaker, a multiple-time author, a mentor, a strategist, an event producer, a podcast host. I was a magazine publisher. I'm affectionately known as the speaker mogul, and I've been featured in NBC, CBS, ABC, Fast Company, Authority Magazine, and oh, well, how did we close the curtain on that? I didn't mean to close the curtain, but hey, I don't know what just happened, but that was kind of cool. And also in a Forbes. So let's see what's going on in the chat. Let me put my chat up over here. Adrian, hey, Adrian, how are you? How are you? Right? So you got to do the things so that you can show up in the power of who you are and show people. Show people it's not that you were just in that job and you were doing the things, like you actually have the knowledge to be able to move them forward. So we're going to talk about these 3 keys, and I want to make sure that we get them in and that you understand what we need to do. If you have any questions, let me know. So the 3 keys to standing out and getting booked in any market, we're going to jump right in. Key number 1, you need to unlock your unfactor. So in my company, Speaker Moguls, I talk about your unfactor. Think of it as people talking about, oh, you're a triple threat and you have the it factor. Well, I call it your unfactor, and you're going to see why in just a minute, because I don't do things like other people do it. But I wanted you to ponder this question. What if your too muchness is actually your golden ticket? I know that as women, don't be too much, don't be too loud, don't be too, don't be too ghetto, don't be whatever they tell you, right? Don't be too, all the things, right? But what if that too muchness is actually your golden ticket? Here's the first truth. No one books generic anymore. Now, in the past, it was easy. Like everybody, you could be a generalist, right? I speak about whatever. I speak about leadership. I speak of, right? But if you ever speak to a planner, a meeting planner, somebody who hires speakers, a decision maker, they're no longer looking for you to just have a generic topic and a generic presentation that kind of inspires their audience. No, because here's the thing. Corporations who are hiring you, they run businesses. Associations and conferences, they're putting on conferences, that's a business. They want to make money. And so they need to have people who can come into the room and really activate their audience. Because if you don't activate that audience, guess what they're not doing? They're not coming back next year. So guess what happens to that organization? They're not going to make money for their conference. Guess what happens to the corporation? You were supposed to be there to help them solve a problem. You didn't solve it, so the problem continues. So they're not looking for the generic people anymore. They are looking for magnetic people. They're looking for experts. They're looking for people who can help them solve problems, who can activate the people that they are trying to activate, right? So what's your edge? When you think about like your unfactor, like what is your edge? Your edge is your POV, your point of view. What is your point of view? What is the thing that you are willing to die on that hill? Like, what is it that you stand for? Like for me, one of my points of view and my stand is that I am a stand for women's value not being erased. This is why I do what I do. Because I know that if you understand the power of your voice, if you understand the power and the value of your expertise, then you can stand in that power and you can go out and command and demand that people run you your money, right? As opposed to like, oh, it's kind of a charity. I did a post. I think it was yesterday. Well, whenever you're watching this, it won't be yesterday, but I did a post on my LinkedIn about the difference between an honorarium and a fee, right? And the reason I did that is because I need you to understand like the power that you have. And when you think about, people paying you honorariums, this is kind of a side note. But you think about people paying you an honorarium, they're doing that because they're saying that this thing that you're doing, this speaking, this training that you're doing is something that a fee is not usually paid for, or it is something that it is illegal to pay for. Now, I don't know about you, but the things that I'm doing, you need to pay me for it. And it's not illegal, right? And so when you look at the definition of fee, a fee is paid to a professional for advice and services. That's what you do, right? So when you have a point of view, when you have stories, when you have presence, when you have these things and you understand the business behind the speaking, this is your edge. This is how you show up, right? And when you have a point of view, when you have your stories, not everybody else's stories, when you have your stories. And when I say stories and I say your stories, it could be first person stories, or it could be, for example, as a lawyer, I have lots of stories about cases, right? Those are still my stories. Why? Because I tried those cases. Those were my clients. So that's what I'm saying when I say stories. It doesn't have to be first person. And your presence, how are you showing up? Like when people see you and on social media, when you tell somebody out at a networking event, hey, connect with me on LinkedIn or on Facebook or Instagram, what do they see? Right? Is it the same old, same old? Are you looking like everybody else? Or is it something that people cannot imitate? This is your unfactor, right? They cannot imitate you. I don't care what. I could tell people every single thing that I know. You cannot imitate me. So I don't worry about it, right? And this is what you have to get to the point where you have your own points of view, your own stories. You show up in the way that you feel powerful, because no matter what, they could steal every word. They cannot be like you. They cannot imitate you, right? So it is what makes you a category of one. Those things make you a category of one. Stacy says, great timing. I am too much unapologetically. That's right. You're one of one, can't be imitated. This is what you need to be striving for, right? And so what is it? I want you to think about this, and you can drop it in the chat, or just like really, I want you to really be honest about this, that what have you been muting because you feared it would repel people? Because there are things that we want to do, like I wish, I would really rather do this, or I would really rather say this, or I'd really rather show up like this. I was in a group the other day, and they were asking about what to wear. Like somebody wore like, jeans, and a woman, she wore jeans and a blazer, and she was concerned about whether or not that was too casual. Who cares? If you feel comfortable and powerful, show up. Because guess what? The people who want to be around you, they're not going to be repelled by that. What they're going to be repelled by is you getting up here and being, complete, trying to be perfect, or wearing something that you're always pulling on, or, saying things that they just saw on Google, or they just saw somebody else say, because they can tell it's not you. So what have you been muting because you feared it would repel? She said, I've been muting my brilliance, no more shrinking. Yes, because ma'am, you and your two-time Emmy Award winning self, girl, you should be shouting that from the rooftop. All right. So that is the very thing that should be out front. The thing that you are fearing, that, oh my gosh, I really would like to do this. I would really like to say this. This is the hill that I want to die on, right? But I'm afraid it is the thing that is going to get you out there. I can tell you that, for me, this whole idea around what I'm doing now and talking about women's value not being erased, and the exploitation in the speaking industry of women and not paying us or underpaying us, I was scared. I was like, girl, do you really want to do that? But it is what I feel. It is the mission that I'm on. And yes, it's going to make some people mad. But if it changes this industry, if it allows for women like me to no longer be undervalued, to no longer be exploited, then, I'm willing to shed a few people. I'm good with that. So you got to think about what that is, right? It's the very thing. It is the very thing, that thing that you are, that you fear. It is the very thing that will make you, this is why I call it an unfactor, make you unforgettable, undeniable, and unfuckable with. Now, for those of you who don't like cursing, I curse sometimes. I don't curse a lot, but hey, when I'm talking about an unfactor, this is what I mean. You are unforgettable, you are undeniable, and you are unfuckable with. This is what you need to strive for. We're not striving for comfort. We're not striving to make people, feel okay and feel comfortable with us. When I was doing unconscious bias training, all during what was happening, when George Floyd was murdered, I had to get really, really comfortable with telling people that I'm not here for your comfort. Now imagine that, right? The client is hiring me to come and, talk to their people, whatever. And I'm telling you, listen, I'm not here for your comfort. I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm here to have a conversation with you. I'm here to hear what you have to say so that we can make some changes. And when you make changes and when you're going to shift something, when you are going to be disruptive, you have got to get very comfortable with being uncomfortable. That is part of your unfactor. So you might think, what if people don't like it? Here's a secret. Here's a secret. The people who run when you show up fully, they were never going to invest in you, respect your fee, or champion your vision. Let's see, Adrian says, I've been muting my experiences that have built me and my business. I used to fear sharing my story, but it's a connector, not a disconnector. Absolutely. And for some people, it is a disconnector, and that's good. And that's a good thing, right? Because what you want to be doing is putting yourself out there as the real person, not the representative, so that you can get people in and then they come and they find out, that's not who you put yourself out to be, right? Those people who are attracted to you will come to you. Those people who don't, their no, it doesn't hurt you. It frees your energy for the yeses that matter. I know we're afraid of rejection. I don't like it when people say no or people ghost you, but what you have to understand is that is just freeing up your energy, your time, your space, so that the yeses that matter can come to you, right? The ones who see your power and are eager to pay for it. Those are the people. Your people want to hire you because you stand out, not because you blend in. There's enough people out here trying to blend in. You don't need that. You need to stand out. So, can you imagine? Can you imagine the relief of being fully yourself, just being authentically you? Listen, that freedom, honey, that feels so good to know that every day you can just get up and be who you are, say the things that you want to say, right? Now I'm not telling you to be reckless. So don't think that. I'm not telling you to be reckless. I'm still very intentional. I'm still very strategic, but I'm still also very much me. And this is what I teach my clients. You got to show up as you. Now, and when you do, you're going to have clients chasing you for it, because that magnetic energy that I talked about in the beginning, you're going to be attracting the ones that need to come to you, and you're going to be repelling the ones that don't need to be in your space. So I want you to really think about what's your unfactor. What is your unfactor? What's the one story or the strong point of view that you've been holding back that you need to release out into the world? What is the one thing that you believe that isn't safe, quote unquote, safe or popular, but it's deeply true? For me right now, the thing that I know that is probably not safe and is not a popular opinion, is the fact that the speaking industry is exploiting women, and specifically exploiting Black and brown women. But it's true. So I'm going to say it. And you may not like it, but that's okay. But the women that I am trying to call in to show them and help them to not be a part of that exploitation and to not be complicit in their exploitation, they'll hear it. And guess what? They don't have to say it. Kelly said it. They don't have to say it, but come into my world and I will help you to not have to be a part of that exploitive industry and show you how to stand up for yourself, right? And how to command and demand the value that you deserve. So that's your unfactor. It's that thing where you think about that thing that's like, ooh, man, if people only knew, right, that you're that chick, that's your unfactor. So, with standing out, no matter what, and again, I'm not talking about being reckless, I'm talking about intentionally and strategically doing that. Would that bring in a new level of clients and contracts? What would that do for you? If you could just be like, I am going to show up fully in the power of who I am. Will you commit? And this is what I need you to know. I want you to be thinking about, and I want you to tell me, like, when you decide what your unfactor is, are you willing and are you committed to leaning into that? Let me know. She said, let me see what Stacia says. They ain't your people. Let them run, honey. Run far away. Run. Right? And if you're going to lean into it and if you're going to commit to lean into it, I need to know when. Like, I need to know when, not someday, not, oh, yeah, I'll think about it, but when? When are you going to do it? And the time to do it is now. Time waits for no one. If you don't show up now, if you don't show up and have that magnetic energy for your clients, guess what? Someone else is going to attract them. And what's going to happen? That they're going to be attracted to people who they had to settle for, who will not do as good a job as you. And it's because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. You didn't show up with your gift. You were not responsible with your gift to show up to make sure that the clients and the people that were in have been set on this earth for you to serve, that you were serving them. So, key number two. Key number two, I need you to codify and brand your IP, your intellectual property. I need you to really start to understand that the things that you know have value. It is called intellectual property, and you need to do something with that. So you need to be impossible to copy. Now, when I say impossible to copy, impossible, no, nothing's impossible these days, right? You see that sign, that photo behind me, and it says, I belong everywhere I am, but I don't belong everywhere. That's my saying. People say it in different variations. They don't give me credit for it. Some do, some don't. But if you put it out there in the world, then people know that it's yours. So it's impossible to copy you because people are like, oh, but that's Kelly's, that's Stacey's, that's Adrian's, right? That they already know. So again, also, there's an intention, there's a reason that I came up with that saying. It means something very specific. So even if other people use it, they still can't copy, right? So oftentimes we worry about people copying us. Don't worry, right? They say imitation is the best, what is the most sincerest form of flattery, whatever. If they wanted, I've had people copy every word on my website and make it their website. I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about that, because what can't they do? They can't deliver based on what that is, because I created it based on what I know, right? So people can copy your words. They can copy, your pic. They can do all those things. They cannot copy you. So I need you to stop being a talented person. Stop being talented and start being recognized for your signature thinking. Right? This is all about cash flowing what you know, right? I started on this journey because I watched these people cash flow what they knew. This is about strategically thinking, right? And that's what people are paying you for. They're paying for how you think, how you analyze information, how you synthesize information, how you deliver information, how you solve the problems that they have. They don't care that you're talented. We see people out here every single day making all kinds of money, and guess what? They're not talented. So it's not about the talent, right? But they're very strategic and they have a signature way of doing something that people have now been energized by and are magnetically attracted to. This is what you have to start doing. So when I think about your IP and codifying and branding your IP, you need to name it. You need to brand it. You need to package it, right? So you'll hear me talk about frameworks. I have millions of frameworks, right? So, I have my signature talk black print and I have my 3 R's and the 3 C's. When you hear people start talking about those things and naming those things, that's what I'm talking about. That is your intellectual property. It is the way that you do the thing that nobody else can do it, right? So your frameworks, your methodologies, your processes, your systems, your phrases, all of those things, those are things that you need to start protecting. You need to give it a name. You need to start talking about it so that people know if they hear it again, that it came from you, right? The more you brand your assets, the harder you are to replace or replicate. I'm going to say that again. The more you brand your assets, the harder you are to replace or replicate. And the higher your perceived and actual value will be, right? We know that perception is reality. So if you're out here and you're somebody who, speaks on leadership, and there's 50 million people that speak on leadership, but you're known as the person who has this specific methodology or process or system, you have a higher perceived and actual value than everybody else who's out there doing it. But if they don't know that, if your potential clients don't know that, then they will go settle for whoever else is out there putting out whatever they're putting out. So this is exactly what I teach my clients, and you're going to hear from some of them right now, but this is exactly what I teach my clients, and they all have branded intellectual property. So one of the things when we work with our clients to develop their signature talks, we develop inside of that signature talk their unique mechanism. So that's their specific way of solving their clients' problems, right? And it has a name and they use it. And so that people know. So when they're pitching to someone, it's like, I help you do this, right? To solve this problem using my specific methodology, not anybody else's. So before I share with you my clients, here's what I did so that my clients don't have to. Here's what I did so that I can be the one who can share all of this with you. There's trial and error, right? So I made plenty of costly mistakes so you don't have to. You get all of the proven frameworks and strategies, all the things that I'm telling you. When you work with me, I share all of my strategies and frameworks with you. I put in the time and effort. So countless hours, late nights, and lessons hard won. And I did this even before I came out into full-time entrepreneurship. I did this while I was practicing law so that I was positioning myself at that time. I didn't even think at that time I was going to be working with other women experts. But when I came into this industry and I saw what was happening, I was like, oh no, I got to do something, right? And I've baked all of that learning into my frameworks and my strategies. So you get to skip ahead. I live in Orlando. We have Disney, right? The fast pass. Everybody wants the fast pass so that they can get ahead of those lines. That's what I'm doing for you, right? I've invested the money. Now you're going to have to invest money, right? To also get farther and get the fast pass. But I've invested my own resources. I've put my own resources on the line. And I'm talking multiple 6 figures of resources, right? With coaches and courses and failed launches. I've done it all to help speed your path. Now, I also have some unique authority and experience that other people don't have, right? They may have the same title, but they don't have the same specific experience that I have with being a lawyer, a trial lawyer, an employment lawyer, with being an arbitrator and a mediator, with being a professor. I've been a professor in law school and universities. The experiences that I've had in this role as an entrepreneur, right? And working with other women experts. So I've also spent the money to be in rooms with 6, 7, and 8 figure entrepreneurs to hear what they talk about. And listen, they, especially seven, I'm a 6 figure entrepreneur, but 6, 7, and 8 figure entrepreneurs, they talk about things differently. They do things differently. They move differently. And so I've learned what it is that they're doing. And that's how my clients get results like these. So you're going to hear from 3 of my clients. I'm just going to play them all the way through so that you can hear them. But these are 3 of my clients. Oops, let me go back. Let me go. Nope, I want to go this way. I need to go this way. So you're going to hear from my client, Lynn, and I'm going to speed her up just a tad.
Before I started working with Kelly, I was going through the process of submitting applications to speak at various events and with organizations and associations. And I started seeing a pattern in that process. And that pattern was they were asking for very specific things. For example, what are some of the takeaways? What were, the title of your talk? What was, what are your abstract, right? And I didn't have some of this stuff. And it got me to thinking that there's something more that I need. So when I saw that Kelly was offering the signature talk experience, I knew that that was a training that I needed, because I thought that submitting these applications, it was just a matter of sharing my story, but it wasn't. There was something more to it. So when I got in the signature talk experience, whoa, right? And I went from the signature talk experience into do other trainings with Kelly. And let me just say this, that since I've gone through these experiences with Kelly, first of all, I've written my signature talk. From that, I've gained confidence for the work that I do as a career and leadership coach, coaching mid-career ambitious women. And I've also gained experience in speaking in corporate organizations, being a speaker and getting paid to speak. My first speaking gig, I landed after the signature talk experience for an hour for over $7,000. Listen, if you have an opportunity to gain some experience or get in a training with Kelly, don't even think twice about it, because I am here to tell you it is an absolute experience. So, Kelly, I just want to thank you for not just being my soror, but being a mentor, being someone that I can continue to call on and actually continue to learn from. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts with the world.
And now I want to share with you a snippet of a call that I had with one of my clients. Her name is Dr. Precious Boyle. So I want you to listen in to Dr. Precious and, just understand what it means when you really show up in the magnetic energy of who you are.
What are you charging them? What are you closing? Whatever you close, tell me.
I closed a 3 session for 25,000, and I was like, "Say what now?" Okay,
I told you.
but I didn't blink twice. Based on what they wanted and based on what I knew I was going to deliver, that was the biggest one that I had closed.
Good.
And it felt good because it wasn't emotional intelligence.
It was yours.
It was mine. And what she said was, I completely trust you. Whatever you're going to do.
Because you showed up in the clarity and the power of who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what happens, right? When you start to really understand, and she's talking about, her power of self-awareness, what she was doing when I was saying like codify your IP, right? And really name and brand, what Dr. Precious was doing was looking at emotional intelligence, and she was trying to lead with emotional intelligence. But guess what? Somebody already owns that. Somebody created that. And so what she was trying to do was fit into their framework as opposed to leaning in to her own brilliance, her own expertise. And so that's what we worked on to develop her signature talk around her process, her systems, her methodologies, and that's what got her paid. Now here's Venice, the last one that I want to share with you today. Here's Venice.
Hi, my name is Venice Johnson, the Boldness Coach, and I'm so happy to share with you my experience of working with Kelly as my speaker coach. I came to Kelly with two specific challenges. One was that as a veteran speaker, I needed to up-level my speaking game and to find a methodology that would work for me so that I could take my speaking career to the next level. Kelly brought the receipts. The receipts that she brought were the ones that helped her to up-level her career, and she brought them into our coaching engagement. And that was a game changer for me in landing speaking gigs. The other aspect that I worked with Kelly on was to really support me and to help me to take my corporate contracts from a 5-figure contract to a 6-figure contract. And I was able to do that because Kelly helped me to really understand the monetary value of my speaking skills as they related to doing corporate coaching and corporate training. So if you are in the speaking business, if you are looking to get into the speaking business, Kelly is the perfect coach that can help you to be able to take your speaking career to the next level. I highly, highly recommend Kelly. And I just want to tell you in advance, buckle up, because Kelly is a real coach and she is going to bring the receipts so that you can produce receipts. Happy speaking.
And what I want to share with you about Venice is she's somebody who has, when I say tons and tons and tons of intellectual property, I helped her to really understand the value of that. And so that we cataloged, ended up having her catalog her intellectual property so that she could package it and price it appropriately. When you don't know what you have, when you don't understand the value of it, you will undervalue. So not only will the industry exploit you, you will be complicit in your own exploitation. Yes, I love Venice. She is awesome, right? And she's the boldness coach. So when I talk about being bold and standing up, we talk about her too. All right. So wouldn't it be great to have a process or a strategy that only you offer? I know that for me, when I do the signature talk experience and I help you create your signature talk, I've created the signature talk black print. Guess who doesn't have that? Nobody else. Guess who doesn't teach women how to develop their signature talks, men too, because I've done it with men also, to do their signature talks the way that I do. There's nobody else who could do that, right? There are other people who teach people how to have do their signature talks, and they may have their own strategy for doing it. But you want to have a process or a strategy that only you offer, right? And wouldn't it feel powerful to be referenced, quoted, respected, because your method sets the standard. You're not copying anyone else. That's why I needed to pull Dr. Precious out of emotional intelligence, because that wasn't her process. That was somebody else's process that she was going to be teaching and trying to fit inside of. You need to set your own standards and develop your own methodologies based on your expertise. So, key number 3. So we've talked about, having your unfactor. We've talked about codifying and branding your intellectual property. And in the very beginning, I said, you have to have this magnetic energy so that it's going to attract your clients and repel them. But we got to be magnetic where it matters, not just where it's noisy. I know people will say, be here, be there, be everywhere. And it's a lot of noise, but you got to be magnetic where it matters, right? You got to, and getting louder, like louder. And when I say louder, don't just think of volume, right? Think about loud being just everywhere, just like saturating things, right? That's not the answer. Getting louder is not the answer. It's getting strategic. It is showing up in the places where you need to. Don't just post or show up everywhere. Burnout comes from being everywhere. For those of you who are like me, who have a love-hate relationship with social media, I've done it. I've been like, oh, I got to post on, I had all this, I have to post on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, because everybody says you have to be on TikTok and you got to be here and you got to be there. No, right? You got to be where your people are. You got to be where the decision makers are. Whoever it is that's going to hire you, you need to be where they are. And so you need to get really strategic about showing up in those places and being magnetic in those places, because that's where it matters, right? Be visible where it matters. And I'm going to add to this, to be vocal where it matters, because it's one thing to be visible. Like I've even had to get myself make sure that I'm doing the right thing, because yes, you can go everywhere and you can find me and be visible, but have I been really vocal about the things? No, I've been thinking a lot about, this exploitation and all of that. And every now and then I might say something about it, but I have to get really vocal about that. And that's what I'm doing. That's why I've developed the 6. That's why, you'll see my post, because you need to be visible and vocal where it matters. Where are the people that you're trying to attract? Who's going to be listening to that? Who, when you say those things, they're going to be like, yep, that's my person. That you'll be the first call, that you're not going to be a person that they'll just settle for because, oh no, there's nobody else. Right? So the results come from showing up boldly in the highest leverage rooms. You need to figure out where those rooms are. You need to figure out where your audience makes buying decisions, not just where they go for entertainment. Like I go on, I really hate Instagram, but I go on there, I guess, for entertainment, and I share, memes and funny things on there. Am I going on there to really buy anything? No. Am I making a buying decision? No, not necessarily. But where does your client make buying decisions? That's where you need to be. You need to show up in decision maker spaces. That's what I'm talking about, right? So if you are somebody who wants corporate clients, if you want to get on these association and conference stages, you definitely need to be on LinkedIn. Associations and conferences, being on Facebook may also help you, and sometimes Instagram, but you just got to decide. You have to figure out, you have to know who your avatar is. You have to know who your paying audience is. And then you got to do the work, and we'll help you with this, at the 6, but you got to do the work to figure out where it is they're going to be. And then leverage your strongest stories, your boldest points of view in those high impact rooms. Like get comfortable, like really sharing those pieces of you, because again, they're either going to attract or repel, right? But if you're just in there just wishy-washy, kind of like you have nothing really to say, nobody wants to talk to you. Nobody wants to hire you. Nobody wants to refer you. Nobody wants to introduce you to anybody, because it's just like, you're not really talking about nothing. You just here. Right? So we can't do that. So the other thing you want to do is repurpose your core content in circles where normal generic experts won't go. Where is it that people aren't going to show up and make these comments, right? Or where is it that people who are just regurgitating what they have read, what they have found on Google, what they have heard somebody else say, where they're going to go? Because guess what? They can't go and be like, oh, this is mine, or they can't be really loud with it, even though there are some people who have the audacity to steal people's stuff and be loud, right? But if they're normal and generic, they can't go into spaces where it's going to require them to go even deeper, where it's going to require them to be able to answer questions and to really engage with people. So you need to figure out where are those places, and that's where you need to show up. Now, some of you might wonder, well, Kelly, isn't it easier to just be active online everywhere? It ain't, but the truth is, it's more profitable to be known as the one. The one. Remember, we talked about category of one? It is more profitable to be known as the one for a select tribe than to try and please the masses. I know I've done it, right? And I've been scared about it too. Like, oh my gosh, should I just focus on women experts? Should I just focus on Black women experts? Because what if, and listen, I still sometimes have, tiptoeing around those things, right? But what I know is that you have to be known as the one for a select tribe, because then you can speak to them. Then you can really hone in on what it is that they need and how you can help them. What I know is that women experts, especially Black women experts and brown women experts, need to understand how to develop this business, how to position themselves powerfully, how to package their expertise, how to price their expertise. Yes, women in general, right, are being exploited, but where's my expertise? Where do I understand? Who do I know that I can speak their language and I understand their problems and their feelings from a different place than just like, oh yeah, women do have that issue. No, I'm a Black woman. Right? And I've had these problems and I understand that I know how I have what the things that I have done to overcome them or to even, to make it through them, right? Because the industry is what it is. And I've also helped other Black women do the same. And so we have to make sure that we are looking for where it's profitable, right? And not just where, okay, we're just gonna go out there and spray and pray, right? So with being unforgettable in the right rooms, attract your ideal clients. If anybody says no, then I don't know, you could just jump off, right? Of this training. But yes, being unforgettable, everybody should be saying yes. Being unforgettable in the right rooms will attract your ideal clients. Now, would it help to know exactly where to invest your time to maximize these bookings, to really start pulling in your ideal client and without burning out in the process? Because this is what is going to help you to get further. This is what's going to help you to be able to stand out in these rooms at any time, right? And to be able to be booked in any market. I know right now there's uncertainty in the world, and we see, especially Black women, are losing their jobs at a disproportionate rate. And it may feel that there's no way, but a lot of those women, they're brilliant, have had years, probably decades of experience that they could just now take and leverage, right? If they understood how, so that they could go out there and make money. And so for those of you who are already doing it, those of you who are thinking about doing it, the 3 keys, right, that I want you to really start honing in on so that you can stand out, not thinking about just your talent, but what is key number 1? What is your unfactor? You need to unlock that unfactor and then you need to unleash it into the world. Key number 2, you need to codify and brand your IP. Don't just be out here just saying anything. Name it, brand it, package it so that people know that it belongs to you. And key number 3, you need to be magnetic where it matters. Stop showing up every and everywhere. If it's just, even if you just show up on LinkedIn, just show up on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has decision makers for corporate. LinkedIn has decision makers, especially if you are working with individuals who are, in professional careers, and those are your types of people, right? Show up there. If your target is more women who maybe, moms or some other, go on Instagram, go on Facebook, figure out where they are and go there and be magnetic there, be magnetic where it matters. So if there was someone who could show you how, would you do the work? Because the thing is that this takes work, right? It's not going to be one and done. It's not going to be miraculous. I told you in the very beginning, if you're here for tips and tricks, I'm not your girl, right? I'm all about strategy and I'm all about doing the work. So if someone could show you, you got to would you do the work? Because you could try to figure this all out yourself, right? I'm teaching you, Adrian says, I just had this conversation with a PR person who's trying to put me everywhere. I told I need to focus where my audience is. Everywhere and everyone is not for me. Absolutely. And one of the things that I talk about and teach is the idea of paying audience versus consuming audience. There are people who will consume your content all day long, right? And they'll like it. But are they the people who are going to pay you? Your consuming audience may be in one place, your paying audience may be in another. And so you need to figure that out. So you could try to figure that all out by yourself. But let's be real. How many wrong turns, months, or even years would it take? How many wrong turns, months, and even years has it taken for you to get to this place and you still don't know the answers? How much money would you have to experiment with? How much money have you experimented with? And yet you still don't have the answers. See, sometimes you invest all this stuff and you experiment with this money and you have nothing to show for it. So how many opportunities slip by while you're trying to get it right? What will all of that cost you? What has all of that already cost you? And what if you don't have to find out, right? What if you don't have to find out how much it's going to cost you going forward? If I could show you what's worked for me and my clients, would you want to see it? Would you want to know how we did it? Would you do the work? If there was a place that you could go to learn how to make these shifts, how to really implement these 3 keys, would you want to be in that room? Well, here's a great thing, because those don't have to be just hypothetical yeses. I've been asking you questions all throughout this presentation, and you should have been saying yes. If you're true, right, to who you are and showing up in this room for this purpose, then those should have been yeses. But they don't have to be hypothetical yeses, because I've already built that room for you. And that room is the Speaking Industry Expo. It is called The Six. So what I'm going to do right now, if you are okay with me, I'm going to share the details of The Six with you. So, yes? Okay, great. So The Six is designed to build your business with clear messaging, offer structure, and visibility strategies that actually connect you with your buyers, with your audience, with your paying audience, right? It's where experts get to work on their business, not in it. Just like many of you, I'm a solopreneur, right? I hire contractors, but I don't have a dedicated employee team. So a lot of things that I do in my business, I'm working in my business. No shame, right? We're working in our business every day to get this moving. But we also have to take time to work on our business. And if we are just sitting in the same place in our same home office, going to the same coffee shop every single day, we are not going to take the time to work on our business. So The Six is a dedicated space. It's a dedicated room where you get to just do that, work on your business. So what is that going to look like? It's going to look like a place where sponsors like Go High Level, Verizon Business, Captivate, Winter Law Practice, the Immigration Annex, and the Immigration Law Academy have seen fit and see the vision for you and are helping us to make sure that this comes to fruition. And so what do you receive as a guest at The Six? And yes, you are our guests, right? You'll leave with positioning that sets you apart in a crowded market, a monetization system that doesn't rely on constant output. You're going to learn how to make money all the time, right? Buyer-facing clarity across your suite of offers, and the confidence to position, price, and pitch your expertise. So we're going to have different incubators. We have a business incubator, and we're going to have different labs. So you're going to have labs around positioning, messaging, and marketing. So you're going to get clear on your voice and your message, build authority that drives opportunities. You're going to learn how to do all of these things. Learn to turn your expertise into content that opens doors, and you'll get seen by potential buyers, partners, and decision makers, because you never know who's going to be in the room. So how's that all going to happen? That's going to happen through our business incubator. It's going to happen in our expo hall. We have an expo hall where they're going to be exhibitors. We're going to have our Iconic Talk speaker showcase, and also through our online community, which will open 30 days before the event even starts. So you'll be able to communicate and get to know the people before you even see them live in person. Our sponsor, Go High Level, is going to do a whole training on business infrastructure and systems. Now, this is important because this is what holds a lot of our businesses back, especially as Black women. We start our businesses at a higher rate and probably have more businesses than others. However, our businesses also fail at a higher rate because we don't have the systems and the infrastructure to make sure that our businesses thrive. So you're going to discover tools and automations to manage bookings and follow up, and really to manage your entire customer journey, the entire back end of your business. And Go High Level is the system that I use. You'll learn how to save time, reduce stress, and grow with the structure that you're building, and to build a back end that supports your big stage presence, whatever that stage may be. We're going to teach you about premium packaging and pricing. So you'll learn how to build and price offers your market will pay for. You'll learn how to pitch in a way that gets the yes. And you will learn how to design a sales flow that's built for consistent conversion, again, through our business incubator and through our online communities, because there will be training. So one of the other things is when we open the online community, there will already be some trainings inside of that online community. So your learning starts early. It starts 30 days before the event. You'll also be now part of a powerhouse network that elevates you. So you're going to step into a circle of peers who speak your language. You're going to build relationships that could lead to contracts, referrals, and collaborations, which is so very important. Strategic partnerships is one of the ways that my business really took off. And finally, you'll feel like you have found your people. Listen, that's one of the things, right? Build your squad, find your people, be in a space where people know they're like-minded, they understand, they want the same things that you want, and you're going to work together. You're not going to compete, you're going to work together to get there. And one of the ways that that will happen, if you get, you could be in our private Mogul Mastermind. We have an opening night reception where we're going to have a whole lot of fun, and then through our online community. And importantly for me, as I think about why I want to do this and why, I'm making this the hill that I die on, is that you join a movement that's disrupting an industry and be part of the first ecosystem that is built specifically for speakers, trainers, coaches, and consultants. One that positions you at the forefront of a shift in our industry and leaves you knowing that you weren't just an attendee, that you are a disruptor in this industry. So the entire sixth ecosystem is created to allow that to happen. So, does the six sound like the room that you should be in? If so, here are your options. We have 3 different ticket levels, and these ticket prices are going to be the ticket prices. We were going to raise them, and I've decided I'm not going to do that. So we have general admission, $275. That means you can come for one day. You can either come, the event is November 3rd through 5th in Atlanta. You can either come on the 4th or on the 5th. That's what the one-day ticket works. For general admission, it will be November 4th and November 5th, and those tickets are $500. And for 3-day or your mogul admission, that would be November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. What's the difference? November 4th and 5th. November 4th is our business incubator day. That's where you'll get all the training, and we'll also have our opening reception party, and our expo hall will open. So if you come on November 4th with your one-day ticket, you get that. November 5th is the day that we're going to have our speaker showcase, our Iconic Talks speaker showcase. And on that day, we'll also have some training. You'll also have access to the expo hall. So if you do a one-day ticket for November 5th, you will get that. If you do your 2-day ticket, you will get you'll get all of that stuff on November 4th and November 5th. If you decide to get your mogul ticket, which I would encourage you to do, we only have a few more of those left because we want to make sure that we have a small group where you'll get real face-to-face interaction with me in that mogul mastermind. That ticket is $950. So on November 3rd, you will have your private mastermind with me and the other guests who will be at the mogul. So you will have November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. 2-day ticket, November 4th and 5th. 1-day ticket, either November 4th or November 5th. So from $275 to $950 to learn how to really, position yourself powerfully, how to package your expertise, and how to price it so that you can command 5- and 6-figure contracts. This should be a total no-brainer. You can go to speakingindustryexpo.com/registration to grab your ticket. You can use the QR code or go directly to the website, speakingindustry.com/registration. Okay. Now, for those of you who are like, I need to be in the room and I'm ready to go right now, I'm going to give you a fast action bonus. And the first 5 people who purchase a 2- or 3-day ticket, you'll get a 60-minute pre-event group mastermind with me. And you'll also get a quarter page color ad in the 6 event program, which means that you get to put your business in front of everybody who's going to be in that room, right? So these are really great fast action bonuses. I don't believe in like adding on this, right? But I want to give you something that's valuable. So spending time with me in a private group mastermind and also putting your business in front of the people who need to see you. Those are our fast action bonuses. They expire at midnight tonight. Okay, go to speakingindustryexpo.com/registration and pick your ticket. I want to invite you. I'm inviting you to join me at the Speaking Industry Expo. I'm inviting you into your next level. I'm inviting you to really step into the power of who you are and being true to the desires and the dreams and the goals that you have set for yourself. So join me November 3rd through 5th in Atlanta for the Speaking Industry Expo. Again, you can get your tickets at speakingindustryexpo.com/registration. The cost of staying stuck is going to add up, and it's going to add up fast. So the longer you delay your next level, the more expensive your current level becomes. So here's what's waiting for you on the other side. Clear positioning, offers that sell, a business that sustains you. So if you're tired of waiting and you're ready to be highly paid and sought after, there's only one thing between you and that reality, and that's a decision. The decision all of my clients you saw made, they made a decision. And they didn't make the decision to invest in me. They made the decision to invest in themselves. And for each one, that decision paid off and continues to pay off. So, what are you going to do? You're just one decision away. And that decision is, which level are you going to play at the 6? Is it the 1-day ticket for $275? Is it the 2-day general admission for $500? Are you going to go all in and be a mogul and get the 3-day ticket for $950? You get to decide. Go to speakingindustryexpo.com/registration to select your ticket now. It's time to bet on you, believe in you, invest in you, and meet me at the 6th, November 3rd through 5th in Atlanta, Georgia, the Speaking Industry Expo. Go grab your ticket at speakingindustryexpo.com